Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Kindergarten Parent Night, Information Night. We will get started here in just a second. My name is Chris Calaris. I'm the Director of Pupil Services here, and we want to welcome you to this exciting night and welcoming another class of kindergarten students into our district, the class of 2034, if you can believe that. So we'll get started momentarily. If I can give you some virtual meeting norms that we'll think will be important for tonight. Obviously, you'll see that your microphone is on mute right now and your camera is off. We're going to keep that for the remainder of the night in order to run the meeting as smoothly as possible. Below, if you have a question, if you toggle and you're familiar with Zoom at the bottom, there's a chat feature. And you can select Amy Rutledge, who is our Director of Communications, to send a question. Amy will then have those questions so that at the end of this meeting, we will do a Q&A portion of the meeting. We also want to thank all of you for the great questions that you have provided us prior to this meeting, which has helped us. And we are going to do our best to weave the majority of those questions into the meeting's presentation tonight. So I think that'll be very helpful. So we will get started here momentarily. Thank you. Okay, I'd just like to go over our agenda briefly for tonight. As you can see, we have a great program for you, and we're excited to have you learn, if this is your first experience with the North Olmsted City Schools, a little bit more about our school district. Obviously, if this is not your first experience, you're going to learn hopefully some new things from us as well. We'll start the evening off with a welcome from our superintendent, Dr. Michael Zoller. Then our Associate Superintendent, Dr. Ann Pyros, will talk with you a little bit about our kindergarten program. I will then talk with you a little bit about the registration process. I want to thank all of you, many of you already, who have started the pre-registration process. You've been doing a tremendous job. You'll then hear from our Supervisor of Transportation Services, Mr. David Lee. He's going to talk about what you can expect for your kindergarten student as bus riders next year. And then finally, a little segment on preparing for kindergarten from our Associate Superintendent, Dr. Ann Pyros. At this time, I would like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Michael Zoller, who will provide you with an opening welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calaris, and good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Mike Zoller, and I'm proud to be the superintendent of the North Olmsted City Schools. I really want to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the Board of Education, our teachers, our staff, and administration. It's my privilege to welcome you to this year's kickoff of our kindergarten registration process. We are so excited to welcome the class of 2034 this fall. It's hard to just even say those numbers, but we're excited to welcome your children into our school district. We know from the survey that we sent out prior to the meeting that for 40% of you, this will be your first experience with having children in the North Olmsted City Schools. So we really hope to make this an amazing year for both you and your child. We are expecting a big class this year. We're excited once again to be able to offer our all-day, everyday kindergarten program. We've been, like you, working through COVID this past year, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to begin to transition out of COVID as we look ahead to next year. However, I want to assure you that we have many safety protocols that are in place right now to make our buildings safe and clean, and we'll continue with those protocols. We'll have to wait and see where we are next year. I do expect that we will continue with many of the same safety protocols, but we'll just have to wait and see where things are and what the situation is when we begin school in August. You know, kindergarten really is an important year in the life of a child. Together, we begin to build a foundation of academic literacy and social and emotional learning that will help carry your son or daughter throughout their entire school career. We have an amazing team of teachers and principals who can't wait to meet your child and to begin this journey. And parents, I want to encourage you to be engaged with your son or daughter's school. Each of our primary schools has a parent-teacher association, a PTA, that works to support our students and teachers. So please sign up to be a part of this important organization. The North Olmsted schools are a great school system, and we're so fortunate to have such a phenomenal staff and a very supportive community. I really believe that your child will blossom this year from the helping hands and the care of our teachers and our entire team. We are all here to make sure that your son or daughter has whatever they need to be successful. This year, once again, we are registering everybody on our online system using the link to the district website. Our team has done an amazing job in making this a very user-friendly process, and we hope that you find the site very easy to navigate. Also, the district webpage has a lot of information, but if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact our office. So now I want to get started. Once again, welcome, and let's get started with our registration process in tonight's program. Good luck and go Eagles. And I'll turn the program back over to Dr. Pyros.
Thank you, Dr. Zoller. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Pyros. I'm the Associate Superintendent here in the North Olmsted City School District, and this is by far one of my most favorite evenings, and I am so glad that we have so many families joining us tonight. I see that we have nearly 100 participants, and typically we would be usually together at Pine Intermediate in the multi-purpose room for this event. But it's just really an exciting time for families. As Dr. Zoller said, some of you, this is your very first child going on to kindergarten, and I know that you may have questions or feel a bit nervous about that. But we have many families too where this is a second, third, and fourth child, even a fifth, entering our program. So in our kindergarten program, we serve our kindergarten students in 3 different primary buildings. And our primary schools are Birch, Forest, and Spruce. And our students attend a particular school essentially based on the neighborhood in which you live. And Mr. Lee, our transportation supervisor, he'll talk a little bit about that. But essentially each school has what we call boundaries. And depending on where you live, will indicate which primary school that you would go to. I do believe we have some of those maps on our district website. Our primary schools do serve students in grades K, 1, and 2. And Spruce Primary also, in addition to those grades, does serve our students in our pre-K program. For our principals that I know that are on the call this evening, but I just want to introduce them by name. Mr. Samarigo is the principal at Birch. Mrs. Ressler is the principal at Forest. And Mrs. McDade is our principal at Spruce Primary School. For the upcoming 21-22 school year, it is our intent and plan that we will be returning back to a full-day kindergarten program. Some of you may know that because of the pandemic, we did change our program this year to be a half-day program for our students, but next year we do plan to go back to our full-day kindergarten program. In the full day program, kindergarten students attend for the full school day, just like first and second graders do. One question that a lot of parents put in that they wanted to have an answer would be our start and end times of the school day for next year. And I wanted to tell our families tonight that as a district, we are still working on what those would be for the upcoming school year. We did modify all of our school times this year because of the pandemic, and we are examining those school times and making some adjustments to improve them. And we will have those determined as soon as possible, but certainly no later than the beginning of May. But again, it will be a typical school day, but we will get those times posted to our families as soon as we have those determined. Our kindergarten program, while we have our students with us in a full day program, our students will engage in learning in all of the core academic areas of reading, English language arts, which is reading and writing and speaking and listening, as well as math, science, and social studies, which are typically, science and social studies are more integrated into our program. Our kindergartners in the full day program do go to specials. We call them specials or encore classes each week. They go to art, music, physical education, and library or media time. And they do those every day. They have one special that they will go to. Depending on how the schedule rotates, sometimes they might have two specials in the same week, but they are taught by our specialists in all of those areas. We also incorporate the state social emotional learning standards. In all of our kindergarten classes, they begin their day in what we call a morning meeting, a great time where our teachers work very hard to build a sense of community within the classroom, and also to help our students develop positive relationships and really create that safe learning environment for our students. Since they are with us full day, they also participate in lunch and recess time. Our district will plan next year to be able to offer a before school care program. We were not able to offer that this year because of COVID, but we do plan to bring that back into our program at our primary levels before school. And we also have a school breakfast program that is available to students as well. So those are some of the highlights of our full day kindergarten program. As Dr. Zoller mentioned, we believe we have just exceptional educators and teachers that guide our kindergarten students and staff. So we are very excited and we're looking forward to being able to meet all of you in person and to be able to meet our incoming kindergarten students for next year. At this time, I'm going to introduce back again Mr. Caleras, who's going to be talking with all of you about the registration process.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pyros. And the registration process, as I stated to start, if you've already started the pre-registration process, thank you very much. We've received a lot of great questions here in our Pupil Services and Registration Department, and you're doing a wonderful job. Just a couple items I wanted to review with you tonight. Please remember that in order to enroll in kindergarten, your child needs to be 5 years old on or before September 30th of this school year. Another question that we definitely received from some of the questions that came in prior to the meeting were, if you're currently in our preschool program, you do not need to enroll your child again. They are already enrolled, and we will provide you with some additional information as we do all students in August. As Dr. Zoller and Dr. Pyros stated, our entire registration process is completed online. We started this last spring, and it has gone very smoothly. Please visit our district website, and you can go to the parent section at the top of the page, and then you will click on new student registration. There will be an orange box there that will take you to a kindergarten page that will really answer so many of your questions. There will be many resources for you there. As we mentioned, boundary lines for schools, quick facts, and also a tutorial video that is available on how to really start the registration process if you have questions. This tutorial video will provide you with the opportunity to learn how to complete what we call the pre-registration part 1 process. Once you do that, you will be pre-approved and you will receive an email on how to complete part 2. And the email will help you guide you to the next steps for part 2. And what the email will do will cause you to create a parent Powerschool account to fill out final forms as a last step. Many of you on the call tonight on the meeting tonight will have a child that's already in the district. You will just have to add them to your already created account. That's a common question that we do receive. In this final process, you're going to be asked to, upload certain documents, PDFs, pictures. Those pictures are also welcome. It's a very user-friendly system that you'll be able to do that with. We do understand, because some of the documents are a birth certificate, a current mortgage or lease, a utility bill, your identification, an immunization record, that sometimes that you may not be comfortable. Some families have asked, could they drop them off here at our board office? Yes, that is possible. You can do that. We have a drop box that is located outside of our main administrative building here on Butternut. And what we would ask you to do is put your name, your address, and your child's name on there, and we will get those forms. Again, the documents are listed there. One of the questions we did receive is that my child is going to a doctor's appointment, say in August, to get their immunizations, or even in early September. We do not need those immediately. We provide a little time with that, but that's something that you're going to want to be thinking about. A final question that we received is, once you complete registration, what's going to happen next? Well, a confirmation email will come from us, and it'll have some information for you. And you can anticipate then getting additional information on some other items that Dr. Pyros is going to talk about later in the presentation to you at that time. I would encourage you, I know that this is a virtual process, maybe it's your first time doing this. For any questions, please contact the Pupil Services Department at 440-588-5308. Or we do have an email that is strictly for registration. It's registration@gnomestead.org. That is also located on the website. All of this is there for you. And really, we will get back to you within 24 hours. We promise that. We have several people that are checking that inbox. So really, it's a great way to reach our team here in order to help you and make the registration process go very smoothly. Again, we're excited. Very, very excited to have so many people already starting the process. We hope we have many more, and we believe it's going to be an exciting school year. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. David Lee, our Supervisor of Transportation Services, who's going to talk a little bit more to you about transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Claris. Again, my name is David Lee. I'm the Supervisor of Transportation here in North Olmsted. And I echo the other comments made that this is a very exciting night. So we get to meet our new parents and the new students for the upcoming school year. Can't believe it is a class of 2034. I just wanted to briefly review some of the transportation procedures we have here. When your student is enrolled and registered with us in the district, if you live within 1 mile of the school, your student will automatically be assigned a school bus. After that, we do the beginning of our routing process, and we look forward to serving you with the routes that we'll post in mid-August on our district website. Please to be patient with that, because we try to group our stops on the in the neighborhoods, but on the main streets like Clague, Columbia, Dover Center, Butternut Ridge, we'll do house to house or curbside service. We get questions a lot about daycares. If your student is not going to ride the bus, please feel free to email me or call me and let the school know in the summertime that your student will be a car rider. if your student is going to go to one of the daycares in North Olmsted, please fill out one of the daycare variance forms. You can find that in two places. One, the daycares have them. Also, you can go to our website under the transportation department sign, and you can download the daycare forms. Some of our school bus rules are a little bit different than maybe when you started back in school. The biggest difference now is we have the drivers have a designated place of safety, and your student will stop there and wait, and the bus will leave, and then you can be released to the parents. That's probably the biggest rule now that we have that may be a little different from when you went to school. It's called the driver designated place of safety, and our bus drivers and our aides will go over those rules with your students. I encourage you to sign up for the city's safety town. Please call the North Olmsted City Hall, and they'll give you information on the safety town. This year, they're also going to do it for first graders. So if you have any neighbors or friends that have a first grade student, please let them know about that. If you have any questions, again, regarding transportation, please feel free to call me or email me right there on the website. You can go right to our district website and directly email me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Now, I'm going to pass the baton to Dr. Pyros about preparing for kindergarten.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, could you just real quickly clarify again for our kindergarten parents and families and guardians out there, again, how a child would, be eligible for transportation? Can you go over that, the 1 mile piece again, just real quickly?
Yes, we currently have a 1 mile walk zone for next year. So your students will automatically be registered for a school bus if you live within in excess of 1 mile to the school. Mm-hmm. So say, for example, you live at Birch Elementary School. Our buses will pick your students up beyond Columbia, beyond Lorraine Road automatically. So you don't have to worry about being assigned a school bus.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I wanted to take a few minutes this evening to talk about a few things in preparation for kindergarten and things that you may be able to do with your child prior to next August. Before I do that, I did want to mention, as I did not include it prior to, we did have questions about class size, and we do strive to keep our kindergarten and our primary classes at 25 students or less. In the upcoming school year, we are going to work very hard to try to keep those kindergarten numbers in the low 20s, trying to keep them as close to 20 as possible. Again, we do enroll students into our program really all the way up to the first day of school. So, but I just wanted our families to know typically where we are with class size and where we really strive to be for next year. So we also, in the past, have done kindergarten screening with our students. We were not able to do that this year, but we do plan in the upcoming year to have a kindergarten screening process that will take place at the end of May and beginning of June. And so we'll be in contact with our families with more details about that. The kindergarten screening process takes place here at the administration center or the board office, and we schedule appointments with our families for students to come in, and we assess different skills, some language skills, some, do they know their shapes, and we're just trying to find out more information about your child. We even do what we call gross motor, jumping and hopping and things along those lines. So we will plan to have a screening process at the end of May. In preparation for kindergarten, often asked, what is it that families can do to help prepare their children for kindergarten? And you can see there on the slide, I put read, read, read. That is just one of the most important things that you can do with your child. reading to them, using picture books, having them look at picture books. That really is just so beneficial in building their vocabulary, and it's just a great thing to do. Also, they can do things such as trying to write their name, practicing forming letters of the alphabet, as well as working on some social skills, being able to take turns and share, and to be able to self-regulate. On our district website, Mr. Caleres did mention this, on the right-hand panel in that kindergarten area of our webpage, the Welcome to Kindergarten, you will see many different resources that you can access of more specific things that you can do with your child. And at screening time, we will also be providing additional information for our families. But right now on our website, there is wonderful resources for you to consider for the upcoming school year. One of the questions we do get sometimes is, what does a student need to do to be able to come to kindergarten? Do they need to know certain things, or do they need to know how to write their name? And in Ohio and in our district and districts across the state, in order to be eligible to come to kindergarten, you have to be 5 by September 30th, 2021. And if you're 5, you're eligible for kindergarten. So the screening process for us really is to help us get to know things about your child that will help us as we start our school year. But there's nothing in the screening process ever that would say, well, the child isn't ready. Those are not our determinations to make you know your child better than anyone. But that's a common question we get. How do I know my child's ready for kindergarten? And I know if we have had any children that have been involved in any preschool programs, I know preschool teachers help with those decisions. But I did want to say with this, if you are having any questions about if your child is ready for kindergarten, again, you know your child best, I would reach out to one of our kindergarten principals. They get this question a lot and might be able to answer some questions that you might have. Wanted to know that we will be posting supply lists in the spring. As we get closer to the end of the school year, the supplies that our kindergarten students will need will be posted on our district website. We will be planning to have a kindergarten orientation on August 30th and 31st. So we do provide an opportunity for our families and our students to be able to come in small groups, meet their teacher, visit their classroom, and get to see and be a little bit more familiar with the school prior to the first day of school. First day for kindergarten next year is going to be on September the 1st. So those are some things with regard to preparing your child for kindergarten. Again, we are so excited about the opportunity and privilege to be able to serve your children. So I just encourage you, with any questions at all that you have, to reach out to us so that we can help you with any questions that you might have. All right. At this time, we know that we have had some questions that may have come in directly to Ms. Rutledge, our communications coordinator. So at this time, we'll listen to those questions, and anyone on our team will do our best that we can do to answer those for you this evening.
Okay, our first question this evening is about district Chromebooks. Will the district, with the district purchasing Chromebooks this year with COVID, will all students, including kindergarten, be issued a Chromebook next year to assist with learning?
Thank you for that question. The answer is yes. We do plan to have Chromebooks for all of our students, including our kindergarten students. Depending on where we're at with regard to the pandemic, those Chromebooks may stay at school if we're able to do that. If we feel it necessary for the Chromebooks to come back and forth, to school each day. We would communicate that to our families, but even our kindergarten students would have a Chromebook, and each student will have a Chromebook next year.
Okay, the next question pertains specifically to Forest Elementary. Will the kindergartners be in pod classrooms next year?
That is something that at this time we're not able to answer specifically as to whether or the location of where our kindergarten classes will be for the upcoming school year. So thank you for that question. And at this time, right now, I can tell you that our kindergarten classrooms are not in self-contained learning spaces. They are in a pod this year. I can tell you that, but that can change from year to year. That can change.
Okay, we have a few questions coming in at the same time, so I'm trying to navigate both. Will every student receive kindergarten screening?
It is our hope that we would have all of our parents be able to bring their children for the kindergarten screening process. That is our intent each year. We do that primarily in the spring. If we have kindergartners that register over the summer and into August, sometimes for us it can be a little bit more difficult to schedule those screenings, but we do our best to try to screen as many students as possible, because it just provides us again with information about your child.
Okay, our next question pertains to transportation. First, David, can you explain what Safety Town is?
Sure. Safety Town is a program that the city of North Olmsted runs. The police department and the fire department sponsor the program, and they cover school bus safety, fire safety, pedestrian safety. They talk a little bit about the 911 calls. It's a fantastic program. I strongly urge you to check it out and sign your students up for that.
I will also add about Safety Town. We did receive information just recently about Safety Town from the city of North Olmsted. So that information will also be posted on our district website. And if you currently have students in the district, the principals will be including that in their weekly newsletters this week as well. So be on the lookout for that information. Okay, also sticking with transportation, David, can you explain the 1 mile busing rule one more time?
Sure. If your residence is 1 mile or greater than from our school, from your school that your student will attend, you're automatically assigned a bus. If you have any questions about that, please give me a call or email me, and I'll let you know for sure. But you're all assigned a bus if you're more than 1 mile from the school.
Okay, thank you. Talking a couple questions about teachers. How can a parent request a certain teacher? And also, when will teacher assignments be communicated specifically for parents that wanted to maybe address behavior concerns or some things prior to the school year starting with the teacher?
We typically release that information to our families a week to 2 weeks before the school year starts. We will be doing that most likely electronically, like we did this year. In the past, we would send a mailer home, but we will use our Powerschool student information system to communicate that information to our families. So again, being able to learn whom is your child's kindergarten teacher, that typically occurs 1 to 2 weeks prior to the start of the school year. If a parent would want to request a teacher, typically that type of a correspondence is directed to the building level principal. So that is whom you would direct that request. As we say with all of those types of things, we take them into consideration. We are not able to guarantee, a request for a particular teacher, but if there are certain things about your child that are important for the principal to know, I would reach out to our building principals once you know where your child would be attending that school. So reaching out to Mr. Samarigo at Birch, Mrs. McDade at Spruce, and or Mrs. Ressler at Forest. And if there are already things, about your child that you would want to have conversations with our building principals, that's what we're here for. We really are here to help you with meeting your child's needs. So I would really encourage you to reach out to principals with that. And again, if you had a particular request, those would be directed to the building principals.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple questions about kindergarten screening. When will families be able to sign up for kindergarten screening? And if students are currently in the preschool program, do they need to participate in kindergarten screening?
We will, we're working on a schedule for our kindergarten screening appointments. So we should be able to have those definitive, but it would be after probably at the beginning of May, most likely, that we would have maybe appointments available and information out to our families to sign up and to have those scheduled appointments, which again will take place at the end of May, beginning of June for this upcoming school year. And we do it over a period of days. So it's a number of days in which for us to go through the process to go through the screening with all of our kindergarten students. But again, it is our goal to get as many students involved in that process as possible. And Mr. Caleres, I'm trying to think back to our kindergartners who are in our preschool, how we handled those
Right.
a couple of years ago.
It's a great question. This year, what I would say is that your child's preschool teacher will let us know if they need additional information, potentially that they would benefit from the screening, and we would go from there. But at this time, that is something that they will kind of direct towards you, your child's teacher this year.
Can you talk a little bit about the curriculum programs that are used for reading and math?
Certainly. In our kindergarten program, one of the key pieces of curriculum that we use is a program called Foundations. It is a multi-sensory, very systematic approach to teaching phonemic awareness and phonics. And so that's a really important piece of our program in English language arts. We also currently use some core resources from Reading Street, although we're evaluating those and we'll be having some new resources next year. In mathematics, our core resources in our mathematics program is a Houghton Mifflin program called Go Math. So those are the two primary resources in each of those particular content areas.
Okay, our next question is about before and after school care. Will that be available next year, and when will that information become available?
Again, we do plan to be able to have a before care program. We have had a before care program in the past, and again, we were not able to offer that this year. We have that available currently, well, for next year, we hope, at our primary buildings. At this time, we do not have an aftercare program for our students currently. It is something we can certainly discuss as a district, but at this time, it would be our hope to have a before care program in our schools, which allows our parents to drop off their children before school as early as, depending on when our start time will be, usually about an hour and a half before the actual school day would begin.
Okay. Our next question is about enrollment and class sizes. If the enrollment is expected to be larger than previous years and you want to keep class sizes in the low 20s, will there be more than 4 kindergarten teachers at certain schools?
Thank you for the question. So our hope is that we would be able to reduce our class sizes a bit, and that is it's possible. So depending on our enrollment, we're going to be working very hard to, if necessary, add kindergarten sections potentially where we have space to do so. Currently at our Birch Primary, we have 5 sections of kindergarten at Birch already. It is our largest primary school. We have 4 sections of kindergarten at Forest right now and 2 sections at Spruce. So we would look to be able to add sections if needed, and most likely with space that would be potentially at Forest or Spruce for the upcoming school year.
Okay, a related question to that. How many kindergarten classrooms are there per school?
So currently we have 5 at Birch, 4 at Forest, and 2 at Spruce.
Okay. We had a question about, oh, go ahead.
One piece that I know that Dr. Zoller, we've been talking about, our kindergarten enrollment, and kindergarten enrollment across the entire state of Ohio, we know is less than it's been in the past. There's definitely been a drop, and parents making the decision not to send their child. So we're thinking naturally we may have more students this year because they didn't send. But with that being said, we may have kindergarten parents who choose not to send their child this year, potentially waiting until maybe the pandemic is even further in the rearview mirror. So we know we may have some families that also then choose not to send their child this year, waiting for another year. So we just, again, it's one of those pieces for us. We do the absolute best that we can in our planning. But again, we do enroll students up through close to the first day of school. So we always say, put the word out. If you know of anybody who has incoming kindergartners, to register them as soon as possible, because it does help us in our planning.
Okay, we had a couple questions related to school safety. What safety measures do you have for non-students? For example, locked doors during the school hours. And then also for kindergarten students, are the children escorted on and off the bus when they arrive to school?
Our doors in our schools are locked after students are entering the building, and anyone who is looking to access our schools has to be physically what we call buzzed in, if you will, by it's usually the building level administrative assistant who is doing that. We do have some cameras at our doors with that, but our buildings are secure when our students are in them. As far as escorting off the bus, we have many adults that are outside, and Mr. Caleros, jump in. He was a primary principal for many years. We have many adults outside of our primary buildings, really monitoring and helping and escorting our students into the building, and on their way home as well. In the evening, we have lots of adults outside really monitoring, making certain that students get on the right bus on the way home. But there's lots of friendly faces and many of our teachers and other staff members out there making certain that our students do get to class on time. I know often the kindergarten teachers are waiting out there for them on that first day, lining them up and escorting them into their classrooms. So there's lots of supervision until our youngest learners become familiar with the routines, and then we gradually release that a little bit. But initially, there's a lot of support, there's a lot of guidance with getting our students to where they need to be, and so that they're comfortable.
Yes, and as Dr. Pyro said, I know our primary principals do a great job along with the kindergarten teachers at the beginning of the year, really determining how each student is getting to school and home from school. So if your child's taking the bus, if they're a car rider or they're a walker, they will know that. Their entire team at every building will work with you and make sure that they are aware of how they're getting home and to school every day.
Okay, our next question is about registration. Can you please explain how to add a student to an existing Powerschool account?
Absolutely. One of the first things I would say is please watch the tutorial video that is on the kindergarten website page. I could, do my best to explain it to you here, but I would say if you have any direct questions on that after you watch that video and you start the process, to call our office directly, the number that I provided earlier, or you can email registration@nolmsted.org, because we can walk you through the steps or make a personal phone call to help you.
Okay, our next question is about students, specifically twins. If you have twins, are they normally in the same classroom or are they in different classrooms?
I can jump in and help with that question as well. Usually in that situation, obviously, we work with our families. Each building principal will work with each individual family on that. We've obviously have requests sometimes to keep them together, and we have requests sometimes to keep them apart. So I would say that if you're curious on that question, you have some individual circumstances you'd like to discuss, to contact your child's principal, because they will be the best resource for information.
Okay, our next question, are there any charges for enrollment, before school care, after school care, lunch, and breakfast? And do the schools accept cash, or is there an account in which parents can deposit money?
I can start off on that one, and there are school fees that our students do have each year. I can't think of the exact dollar amount for our full-time kindergarten. It's just a regular student fee that we've charged for consumables. There's no charge for the registration process, but there is typically a fee for consumables for students. With regard to before school care, there is a fee by quarter for our students. And I believe the fee, don't quote me 100%, I have to look to see because it's been over a year. I want to say it's approximately $70 or $75 a quarter is what it had been. We are reevaluating those costs related to our before care program. And with regard to other things such as lunches, if students are going to buy lunches, there is a way that you are able to put money into an account for your child electronically, so that when the child goes through the lunch line and is buying a lunch or just buying milk, they just give a code, and that is then charged to your online account, if you will. So there is a way in which that you can put money into account, but with the online account, typically when you're putting money into the account, it usually is through a credit card. When you're working online, I would have to follow up or ask you maybe even to reach out to someone here at the board office. We can get you more information on that with regard to using cash for payment.
Okay, just a reminder, because I do see a couple hands up. I am monitoring the chat box. So if you do have a question, please drop it in the chat because that's where I'm pulling the questions from. Our next question is regarding some COVID protocols. And will kindergarten students need to wear masks next year, specifically students with special needs?
Yeah, I can answer that question. Obviously, the district is monitoring all guidance at this point in time with regards to the beginning of next year and mask usage. Our kindergarten students have done a tremendous job with that this year. So we will obviously have more information forthcoming on that prior to the start of school year, and as we continue to monitor the COVID situation and get the most up-to-date guidance on where we'll be. Is it a possibility? Certainly, in this time of that we're in, we do recognize that for all of our students, not kindergarten students, that could be a legitimate possibility as we start the school year. As you spoke regarding with students with special needs, we do understand that we work through those situations individually. We do understand that students with certain special needs will have tremendous difficulty potentially wearing that mask. We have worked through those individually this year very smoothly and understand that there may not be the ability to do that. There may be medical reasons or other reasons. So we tend to work through that individually with each family. So rest assured, if that is the case for whoever asked that question, we will do that again this year.
Okay, we have a couple questions about arrival and dismissal, specifically for students riding the bus. Will they have a tag on their book bag to help them indicate which bus number to go to, or to help the adults outside to make sure that they get on the right bus going home?
And jump in with that.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
Sorry, Mr. Claris. Yes, we do provide tags. The teachers will put the tags on the students' book bags, and it's worked out very seamlessly. And I encourage you to also make your own tag in when you can find your route number on our website in mid-August.
Thank you for that. Another question about arrival and dismissal, this time for car riders. Will there be instructions or rules sent out before school starts for car ride drop-offs, kind of how early to arrive, where to drop off, where to pull in, where to enter and exit? And do parents wait until their kid is inside the building to pull away? Can someone just explain a little bit the car rider drop-off process?
Sure, I can jump in on that question. Yes, and yes to all those questions. At the beginning of the year, you will receive information home regarding that from your child's school building. I will tell you that just as Dr. Pyros talked about with our bus riders, there are so many staff members that are outside that are guiding our students to the appropriate spots, and it's a very organized and efficient dismissal. Each building's a little differently based on how traffic flows in and out. So you will get information regarding that prior to the start of the year. I will tell you, yes, there is a time that principals will work with you on of saying this is the time we ask students to be let out of cars, and when buses are unloading as well. But again, the thing I would really want to stress to you is that there will be staff outside that will signal you of when that is a good time to do that. Okay, so definitely a lot of information forthcoming on that.
Thank you. Our next question is about lunch. How much time is allotted for lunch, specifically not including recess?
Typically, lunchtime for students ranges approximately 20 to 25 minutes would be the time that would be dedicated for lunch. And early in the year, we're talking about pick up and drop off. And while we get really efficient, those first few days, we do take our time. So sometimes everything's a little slow, and I kind of put that in the same context with lunch as well. When we first start, it's, helping opening juice boxes and getting oriented to eating lunch in a cafeteria. We hope we can eat lunch in our cafeteria. If not, they'll be in their classrooms. But to answer your question, it's about 20 minutes to 25 is typically for lunch for our kindergarten students.
Okay, our next question is about transportation, specifically, if you move more than 1 mile halfway through the school year, will busing still be provided?
If I understand the question correctly, yes. And there's one thing I do want to mention. The best advice I can give parents out there is, if you think that your student is going to ride the bus, put them on the bus the first day. That's the best way to get them acclimated to school. I guarantee there'll be some crying, but the moms and dads will stop crying after the bus pulls away. But I really want to stress that the best advice you can absolutely give is put your student on the bus. Then you won't have to worry about the car rider situation, and they'll love the bus ride to school and they'll love the bus ride home.
Okay, our next question, Mr. Claris, maybe you can answer this one. On the first day of school, are parents able to take the student in for pictures?
We encourage many pictures on our first day of school. We don't necessarily, I can assure you, we will probably not allow you to walk into the classroom the first day with its students, because we are working on lining them up on the outside and getting them into the classroom, and we have to have that natural separation. But prior to entering the building, before the class leaves and goes inside there, you will have plenty of opportunity to take pictures.
Okay, we have a question about the online virtual academy that we offered this year for students. Will that be an option for next year?
That's something that our district is currently examining right now. In order for districts in Ohio to be able to have that be an option, legislation would need to be passed and or extended. So it is our hope that our students are with us in person next year, in particular our youngest learners. But we are working through, if that's a possibility and what that might look like for next year. I don't know that it would look how it does in our current school year, but that is something that we are discussing and talking about at the district level, that we don't have any definitive decisions yet at this time.
All right, another question about transportation. Can students ride the bus in the morning and be a car rider in the afternoon, or vice versa?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes.
Okay, I do see a couple questions about accessing this presentation. I know we did have some people that had to join late, maybe some that left early. This presentation is being recorded in its entirety, so this will be posted on our district website tomorrow, and also on our district YouTube channel, which is simply youtube.com/North Olmsted City Schools. You can go to either one of those places and be able to watch this presentation in its entirety. Also, we had a question about accessing the academic calendar for next school year. That also is posted on our district website. If you go to the main landing page of the district website, that's northolmstedschools.org. And at the very top, you will see some different drop-down menus, one of them labeled parents. And if you just roll your mouse over that parent drop-down menu, you will see a variety of different pieces of information specifically for parents. And one of those is our current school year calendar for this school year, but also we did post the academic calendar for next year. So that is accessible on our website. I'm going to go through one more time to make sure that I got all the questions. I was trying to acknowledge the questions as they were coming in, but we did have several come in at the same time. So I apologize if I did not acknowledge your question, but did include and hopefully get it answered this evening. There is a question about the student fees that were mentioned earlier. Did you say, Dr. Pyros, that the was it a $70 per quarter fee? Was that for students doing the before school care?
Yes, that is the before school care. And again, I don't have that figure in front of me right now to recall the exact, cost of what that was. That might be higher than it actually is. So not 100%, but yes, that $70 some figure I put out there is for before school care, I believe by quarter. So we do charge, I believe, by quarter with regard to how we assess that particular fee. We are examining again the cost to that particular program for the upcoming school year. So even whatever it had been last year, there may be an increase to that cost for the upcoming school year.
Thank you. And David, one more time about that 1 mile busing. Can you explain, if you live less than a mile away from the school, less than 1 mile, you must walk or drive your child to school, correct?
That is basically correct, unless you live inside the Birch district. And then please call me. We do not have children crossing the major roads like Lorraine or Brook Park Road or Columbia Road. And that also goes for Forest. We don't have students crossing Stearns that may live less than a mile from the school. So please call me in those individual cases.
Okay, just going through the chat one more time, making sure I got all the questions that were submitted. Oh, here's one. If your student will be 7 years old in November, are they in first grade or kindergarten?
They would not enroll in kindergarten. That would be a situation where I would ask whoever asked that question to reach out to our team directly here, and we can walk them through about the appropriate grade. Based on the age of 7 years old, that would not be a student in kindergarten, but I would like to talk with that family further to get some additional details.
Perfect. I will pass that message on directly to that individual. All right, I think that is all for the questions. Let me look at the bottom. Perfect. All right, so that is all the questions for the question and answer. Again, I just want to reiterate that this recording will be posted on the district website tomorrow. We'll push it out on our social media platforms as well, with a direct link in case you joined late or had to leave early and missed part of this presentation.
Thank you. We just want to thank all of our families and guardians, our principals that we know are viewing, and some of our kindergarten teachers, if you're here, for attending this evening. And we just encourage you, with any questions that you have, please give us a phone call. You can find our email addresses on our website if you want to send us an email. We want you to feel as comfortable as possible as you're getting ready. For some of you, your first child in a formal kindergarten program, and obviously those of you that have other children coming on into the program, even though you may have other school-age children. We look forward to working with you and again, having the honor to be able to serve your families and to serve our students. So thank you very much.
With that, we will conclude our kindergarten information night. And again, thank you so much for taking the time and for your thoughtful questions. We look forward to seeing all of you next year and meeting our class of 2034, which is hard to say for sure. So thank you, everyone, and please have a great night.